I said, thank you so much for taking the time and congratulations on Wrexham's promotion to League One. Sticking with that news and excitement, just how significant, I know it's such an obvious question, but how significant is it for, not only the club, but the community?
Well, end of the day, success on the pitch is actually what defines, a football club. And for the club to continue being successful on the pitch, just gives us that, enhanced hope. And the community just believes and gets behind everything else. It gives everybody a reason to actually want to be there for the club to do well and everything else that goes with it. So it's a really important step getting promotion. It doesn't materially change what the club's about, because the club's about delivering benefit to the community. But what it certainly does is give you a bigger profile and a more significant base to be able to do it from.
I was going to say, it's like you can see my notes. I was going to say, what are the benefits of being, climbing up the ladder here to League One, and maybe what makes things a little harder knowing that, and I was looking at the table, like there's a couple teams in there that used to be in the Premier League if not too long ago. So obviously the competition is going to be harder on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And equally, there was some clubs that have played in the Premier League in League Two last season as well. That's promotion and relegation. That's what we call the beauty of the pyramid. That any club on any day has the opportunity to go on the journey to be able to compete with the best. And it's that magic that's really galvanized the support base behind the club, and actually what's made the story of the club really attractive to many people who hadn't previously even heard of Wrexham, or certainly knew where it was.
Mm. Yeah, I was going to say certainly for American audiences over here, right? The welcome to Wrexham, obviously Rob and Ryan's, ownership has definitely shown a large spotlight on the club over here, and you mentioned being in League One just makes it even brighter. So from a business standpoint, knowing you guys have the success on the field, off the field, obviously with the show, with the owners, all that. Just talk about the business aspect of it and how you're leveraging all of those pieces, when it is working with different partners and sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main things that going to League One gives you is actually it gives our story credibility. There was always the question asked, what are these two blokes from Hollywood really doing, wanting to own a National League football club? And there was suggestions that it would only last as long as the first two series of the documentary. We're on series three. It would only last as long as they remained interested. Well, they're still here and we're being successful. And actually, because we've made the level of progress we have on the pitch, it's actually moved the club from being seen as a little bit of a novelty act, something a bit different. It's actually moved the football club nearer to the mainstream. And then if we're going to be successful as a business, we need to be in the mainstream rather than viewed as the novelty act. But but whilst we're in the mainstream, we then have to do things differently, and that's what the documentary and the marketing platform it creates for the club allows us, and that's what gives us the opportunities to work with such wonderful partners as United Airlines.
Yeah, and this series renewed for season four. I just saw a couple of days ago. So congratulations on that as well.
Absolutely, there's more welcome to Wrexham to come, and more brand awareness opportunities for the club and our partners.
I love that. You alluded to United, and I'd love to talk about those guys. They came out on as the front of kit sponsor for you guys coming into this past season. Obviously, they're going to continue that, but you guys are taking things one step further this summer ahead of the summer tour. So I just love to hear what's involved with that and how more Flyers, United Flyers, and just fans of the club can get an opportunity to maybe be a little bit part of the club here and check that out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the football club, we believe in partnership rather than sponsorship, because ultimately, a sponsorship deal is just about creating brand awareness and brand presence. Actually, the partnership is the far bigger element for us. So yes, to have United Airlines blazoned over the front of all our kits, which are worn by both our men's, women's, and indeed junior teams. Ultimately, the partnership is about how do we utilize the vehicle of Wrexham to help and connect with the US. And as the world's biggest airline, and indeed, one of the, running all the major routes from the US into London Heathrow, then actually our partnership with United is about connecting Wrexham to the world and allowing all the fans from all over the world who have gained an interest in the football club through the documentary, how getting them to be able to come and see the racecourse or the Stoke Kairas in its full glory.
Mhm. And this summer as well too with the amenity kit and the pajamas. Like I'm sure that's going to be amazing to see people, up there in business class and first class wearing, the Wrexham kit as pajamas, right?
Yeah, I mean this whole initiative was driven by United, and is all about celebrating our partnership in different ways. And we went through a stage where you weren't able to buy our merchandise because as soon as we got some merchandise in, it was sold out. So in conjunction with United, we suddenly thought, well, what better way to have a captive audience for a period of time was to actually create some amenity kits for use by all the business class passengers in Polaris from the 1st of June. Now, you are going to have to travel 14 hours to be able to get your hands on one of the pajama sets, but you are certainly going to be looking different on that long journey emblazoned as with United and Wrexham, trying to look like either Ollie Palmer or Paul Mullen.
I love it. Yeah, I don't think anyone should be traveling in pajamas if they are flying under than 14 hours anyway, but that's just that's just my personal opinion.
Listen, I mean, 14 hours gets you a pajama set. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah. Well worth it. Well worth it. You mentioned the North American market and the United States, and obviously that's massive, not only for you guys as a club, but a lot of other clubs, in Europe, especially coming over here for summer tours, and you guys are back in the stateside in North America this summer as well, too, right? It's like get promoted, no time to rest, packing your bags, hopping on a United flight, and coming over here to the States. So just talk about, the importance of bringing the club boots on the ground here in North America. And this is the first time for the women's team as well, too. So talk about that significance.
Yeah, I mean, the club has an absolute obligation and desire to increase our fan base. And what we've got to recognize is that not everybody can come to us. I mean, we've only got a stadium with 12,500 capacity. So not everybody can come and watch the club play live in Wrexham. So, we need to take the club on tour to be able to take us to where, that new fan base is. And we came over with United last year to America, and obviously this year we're going slightly further because of course we're going up into Canada as well. But the real big first is not just the trip to Canada; it's the fact that we're actually going to bring the women's team over as well. So they're going to go on tour. They've got their own schedule and their own games based in Los Angeles and Portland, and ultimately we are going to be spreading the Wrexham message around the whole of North America.
I love that. Just talk about maybe the bigger picture of the support of women's football in particular. I see it in England and they're selling out Old Trafford and Emirates, and you guys are doing such a great job in promoting the women's team as well too. The NWSL is growing here in the States, so just talk about that significance too. That it isn't just a men's football focused thing. That it is. We want the women's team to really reap a lot of the benefits that the men's team has been for ages.
And that's exactly it. I mean, we promote Wrexham as being a football club, not a football team. So it's not a men's team. It's not actually a women's team. It's not junior teams. It's not a power chair teams. They are all teams that play for Wrexham, the club. So what everybody's realised in more recent times is that the women's teams need to have their own identity. They are not, and we've also got a women's team. The actual women's team needs to stand there shoulder to shoulder alongside their male colleagues, as indeed the power chair team stands alongside those two teams, as indeed the junior teams do as well. Because inside a cohesive and coherent club, then everybody's got an equal part to play. because whether you're playing for the men's first team or you're playing with an under nines team, you're actually representing the club, and you are helping us spread the message that that Wrexham is open, it's inclusive, and wants to give everybody an opportunity. So, where we've been able to bring the women's team over is because they deserve that opportunity to spread their message in exactly the same way as the men's team are going to spread their message. Yes, more people come to watch the men's team at this moment in time, and indeed more people will watch the men's team playing in the US. But the bottom line of it all is there will be a significant number of people turning out to watch Wrexham's women's team play, and that can only be good for the individuals involved in the promotion of the women's game generally.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. And like you said, it doesn't matter what team they're on, the crest is still the same, right? That you're
Mhm.
still representing, like you said, the club and the community. So I definitely get that. You talk about the excitement and building and expanding upon the reach of the club, not the team. I think you were in Melbourne recently, and you talked about the social media following growth and the club valuation. I think is up to £9 million. So how do you guys keep that momentum going, knowing that okay, we have gotten promoted? I don't know if we can do three straight and advance up the ladder, the next level, but how do you guys keep that kind of global reach and appeal of the club going here?
Well, I mean, the beauty of Welcome to Wrexham and being able to, have, an exposure on, such a significant, broadcast channel as FX and Hulu, all under the Disney banner is that, the Welcome to Wrexham series sits there in perpetuity for people to be able to dip in and dip out of. So every time somebody different watches it, it's a different individual that's been exposed to the Wrexham story. And it doesn't actually matter if that's historical content from a match perspective, because the story is still the same. Where did we start and where are we now? And of course, where are we now is wherever they finish watching that series. So we have this ability to not watch rerun games, which is what most people, well, most clubs have to rely on. We've got a real social story of the development and progress of the club over a period of time, and that's what keeps it really current, and actually what allows us to continue to build that fan base. There will be new viewers of Welcome to Wrexham in the next 7 days that haven't watched it before. That doesn't make them any more or any less a fan than somebody who waits until the moment it drops and watches it at the first opportunity. As the brand grows, as the exposure to the club grows, that's why it gets bigger and bigger, and that's why the announcement of Series 4 at Disney's upfronts was so important, because it tells everybody in the outside world this is a story that lots of people are interested in, and is worth and needs to be continued to be told. That only happens if the content is of interest. We've had success on the pitch, we've had failure on the pitch. We've had high bits of success, we've had disappointments. Because actually it reflects the true life of a football club, and it reflects it through the eyes of a community. What benefit it's brought to them, rather than the two principles. But then it shows the two principles' weaknesses. That these are two people who are used to work in an industry where they know what the final outcome is before the start, because they've seen the script. There isn't a script on a Saturday afternoon that describes what's going to happen. It's a live sporting event. There will be days where you are favourites to win, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. So, the the lack of security for two owners being completely exposed to actually the actions of a group of players for 90 minutes on a Saturday afternoon just shows to the viewers how everybody is susceptible to following something that they deeply in touch with, which moves them, yet they're powerless to directly influence at the time it matters.
Mm.
So, that's why the story is compelling, and that's why we want to work with United at bringing as many people to see that and feel that live experience. Because for as many people that have seen it on TV, nothing beats going through the turnstiles and actually feeling it for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with everything you said about the show. I know, a big thing, and especially for me and people I've talked to about it, it is the community, it's the human interest, right? It's just told through the lens of football, and obviously the success you guys have had on the field only makes it that much better. Will they win? Will they get promoted? All that kind of stuff like that. But it is very much a people first, people driven series, and I think we see that over here in the States too with Drive to Survive. I don't know if you're a big F1 fan, but obviously it's bigger in Europe, bigger, around the world. And over here, it's like, oh, there's this thing that's going on, and who's Lewis Hamilton and all these other drivers, and we're finally understanding that, and that's why F1 is getting bigger here in the States. So I definitely see that with
Yeah,
Welcome to Wrexham as well.
and it's interesting, I mean, I was in Melbourne, which is bizarre in its own sense. I was in Melbourne talking about Wrexham. I don't think people in Melbourne would ever have heard of Wrexham unless they happen to come from North Wales. Before the documentary um, was shown, so that shows the power and the reach. But the thing is, the value, the financial value of the club is worth far more than the 9 million that was quoted. I mean, that's the investment that Rob and Ryan have made, not its value. But actually, its true value isn't measured in financial terms. It's measured in the amount of community benefit we're able to create, and the increase in the level of self-esteem of the community of Wrexham, who all of a sudden feel far better about themselves because of the football team's success, because of the real positive spotlight that's on the town. That's the real value.
Mhm.
That's we all fool ourselves into trying and measure everything in financial terms because ultimately, regardless of the currency, it's something everybody can relate to. But the true value is, what does it mean to people who are directly influenced by it? And the self-esteem in Wrexham has gone up. And it's same as I hope for United and our other United Airlines and our other partners. It provides them a hook to be emotionally involved, not just financially, not take a financial position in what they're doing. So if they're emotionally involved rather than just always seeking that return on investment, the results you get are far better. And that's reflected through the fact that ultimately United Airlines have taken the decision to utilize the club, our crest, and our popularity to be in these amenity kits from the first of June. That's why these things happen, because United Airlines care beyond seeking a financial return on investment.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love it. That speech, you have me ready to like run through a wall about that. But
Okay.
I couldn't agree more, right? Because again, it's the culture, it's the community, and you can't put a price on those things. Like, sure, it boosts tourism and ticket sales and revenue and all that stuff like that. But again, what it does for the people in that community, and the everything that they've had to go through, and now it's like, wow, the spotlight is on us. Like, who are we, kind of thing. And now it's like we're able to really reap those benefits, and I'm sure it's just got to have everybody over the moon. And finally, before I let you go, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I know you've kind of been through, you've been through all the tiers of the English pyramid here, and with Bradford City, if I'm not mistaken, helped get them to the Premier League. Wrexham making the climb. Do we think we can continue this, and how does the club continue it? And maybe will we see you guys in the Premier League hopefully soon?
So listen, there's a very simple answer and there's a very complicated answer. The bottom line is the club's ambition is to go as far forward and as high as possible. So that means our ambition must be to get to the Premier League. Otherwise, we contradict ourselves. Everybody realizes and understands that that is not going to be easy. But every single year, three clubs get promoted now from League One and indeed the Championship. We just need to try and give ourselves the best shot at getting promoted from League One to the Championship. And at that stage, we're then one step away from the promised land. Now, that's easy to say and a lot harder to do. But with Robin Ryan's backing, with the support of the local community, and the tremendous support we get from United Airlines and all our sponsors, ultimately, then we're giving ourselves the best chance. And why are we doing it? So the community of Wrexham benefits.
I love it. Was that the simple answer or the complicated one?
It was a bit. It was a bit of both.
A little bit of both. Yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. Well, anything else on the club, the summer tour, working with United, anything like that that maybe we didn't mention that you want to talk
No,
about?
I think the key bit is United Airlines for the club. You know, have this tremendous responsibility of making sure we can get to where we need to go to deliver the Wrexham message, and actually that fans of the club can get to Wrexham to be able to receive that message at a local level. So it genuinely is a two-way street where both parties benefit, and we want it to continue for many years to come.